lovely and talented. The newsroom is only good.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here. This is so exciting and such an honor. In Azerbaijan, to be an independent journalist is to be an enemy of the state. Dozens of criminal and civil defamation charges are brought against journalists each year by members of the Azerbaijani government. In the first 6 months of 2010, the most recent year cataloged by Human Rights Watch, 62 defamation claims were filed against reporters and editors by state officials. The consequences of these claims can be as severe as multi-year prison terms. Investigative journalists, especially those who report on the president or his business dealings, are favorite targets of slander in state-run media. Reporters and editors are labeled as terrorists, enemies of freedom, and much worse by government actors. Khadija Ismaylova is no exception. As an investigative reporter, she has been interrogated, directly threatened, and slandered in national media. In 2009, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev directly tried to have Ismaylova fired from her job as an investigative reporter for Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. Efforts to discredit Ismaylova reached new heights in March 2012 when she became the target of a massive smear campaign that threatened to humiliate her and put her life at risk if she didn't stop reporting. In an anonymous letter that was sent to her, Ismaylova was called a whore and instructed to behave. She also received a package containing photos of herself in a private, intimate moment with her boyfriend. The images came from a hidden camera that was planted in her apartment. This is a country where honor killings still take place. So not only is it an invasion of privacy and humiliating, releasing photos of asexual content can be life-threatening. In spite of the dangers, Ismaylova said, quote, "When I got that blackmail letter, anger was bigger than fear." Immediately, Ismaylova made the decision not to give in to the blackmailer's demands. Instead, she went ahead with her regular 90-minute radio program, which was set to air the day that she received that threatening letter. As a consequence, hidden camera footage from her bedroom was posted online. Before and after, Ismaylova said she was encouraged by messages of support from fellow journalists and others in her country. The government refused to provide protection for her during this incident, so her friends took up shifts guarding her apartment. This all came in the midst of Ismaylova reporting on President Aliyev's use of official power to influence his personal business investments. Threats of abuse are just one of the barriers confronting journalists in Azerbaijan. The government has taken measures to limit the circulation of independent newspapers by destroying distribution kiosks and restricting street vending. In 2009, the government banned international broadcasters from local airways. The BBC, Voice of America, and Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty were denied their foremost channel to reach the Azerbaijani public. All three had operated in the country for more than a decade. But now, access to these outlets are only available through satellite or internet. It is a matter of fact that journalists who cover politics and corruption in Azerbaijan are attacked openly and with impunity, often by public officials. Ismaylova knows that her investigations into government corruption is dangerous, but she reasons her continued efforts by saying simply, "It doesn't seem a good enough reason to stop doing it. Corruption is still happening. They are still using their positions to enrich their families." When asked if she has ever been tempted to quit reporting, Ismaylova doesn't pause. "Never," she says. "Good journalists are always in need, even when there is a democracy in place. When things are okay in my country, I will go somewhere else where I am needed." Then she adds, "I hope there will be a day when what I am doing is no longer needed. That will be a great day." Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 2012 Courage Award winner, Khadija Ismaylova.
Dear colleagues and friends, I'm honored to be here with these courageous women who are risking their lives every day, reporting the truth about the cruelest regimes. Together with Asma Al-Kul and Zubaydah Mustafa, I share the bitterness for not having Riyad Alemo here. Today we stand and speak for every journalist who corrupt regimes worldwide try to silence by putting them behind bars, blackmailing and blacklisting, killing or beating them. Because silence is what these regimes need. Power and the lack of checks and balances ensure access of corrupt officials to vast resources. Silence helps them to continue depriving their people of opportunities. Silence is supported by police tranches and assassins' bullets inside the country and geopolitical interests internationally. The silence is so loud that it might deafen society. With the consolidation of power and money, crime and government, accompanied with disabled justice systems, independent journalists become the main target, as they become the only means of resistance for society against corruption and organized crime. Those who attack journalists in my part of the world enjoy impunity. Today, standing here, I speak for fellow journalists in Azerbaijan who break the silence despite the pressure and attacks. They right to create meaning, to share knowledge, to have impact. Some of them are in prison. For some, physical attacks are daily routine. Some fight visible and invisible wars while trying to break through ignorance, like Salatin Askerova, a female reporter who was killed covering war in Nagorno-Karabakh, or Elmar Huseynov, who was murdered for reporting high-level corruption. These are people who dared because they believed in the right of others to know. There is a huge burden on the international community to stand up and defend the voiceless. Prizes like these are of course an honor for me as a journalist. They also shine a light on societies that are in trouble. Such support from professionals in the field is a huge honor. Support is also needed from diplomats, from governments, and in ways that are meaningful. There is also a need for the simple act of criticism, an appropriate show of outrage, a public rebuke, or even a simple question when basic rights are flagrantly violated. The United States has seen the consequences of maintaining relationships with autocrats and ignoring the higher needs of their societies. Successive administrations have recognized the short-sightedness of maintaining stability rather than promoting political reform. The Arab Spring was a rebuke to this policy. Syria is a catastrophe. The international community must take responsibility for holding governments and officials that perpetrate crimes against journalists accountable. It must be clearer and far more committed to enforcing its own standards, its own institutions. Otherwise, what is it worth?